we have to set the standard. We have to set what we want from them. I tell parents, we are raising the next president in the White House. Could be in your house. So when we're talking about politics and what we don't like and what we do like, how are we raising our children? Because that's the generation that's moving on up, right? Who do I want to be making the rules about me when I'm 80 years old in a home or something,
Right.
Like, are we raising, and that's what we have to pay attention to, how we're raising our kids. If it's okay for them to yell at you and to say things rude to you, I promise you're okaying it for them to do that in public.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Positively Healthy Mom podcast. I'm your host, Laura Ollinger, teen and young adult well-being coach. And this week, we're going to jump right back into the second part of my conversation with Veenu Keller, creator of The Parent-Child Whisperer and longtime mentor of mine. If you didn't catch last week's episode, be sure to do that first. Now, on to part 2.
I would love to share with the listeners a little bit more about the program that you taught me, the in-home turnaround program. We spent days and days together in North Carolina and your hometown teaching this, and I just feel like we need to get the word out there. I am so happy that I now have the ability to do this as well. And so let's talk about what this is, because this is something that most people don't even know exists. They don't know it's an option. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I heard about this. So let's talk about it. Tell us how you came up with this concept and what you use it for.
So first of all, there's only 4 of us that are, certified to do this. Me as the owner, and then the 3 people who've done my class. I came up with this because somebody needed help with their daughter. The daughter was away at a boarding school for behavioral kids, and they didn't want her there, but they didn't know what else to do. They've tried hospitalizing, they've tried this, they've tried medication, and this is where nothing works. Now it's time to call one of us. And so when I was talking to them, I lived in North Carolina, they lived in Georgia, and I had been going into homes because I was an infant toddler family specialist in the state of North Carolina. So I would go into homes, I would deal with behaviors, like big behaviors with kids on the spectrum, hitting, punching walls, stuff like that. And so I've learned how to read behaviors as communication. And I'm like, I could do this for you guys. And they're like, but you live in North Carolina. And I'm like, well, I could probably do it in 4 days. And they're like, great. And we talked about price. And I came home after I met the people, because we met at an event. And I was like, okay. And there was no ChatGPT then. So there was nothing to help me create this idea.
Right.
There was nothing. And I was like, okay, I am got to figure this out. So all I knew was my ability. I knew I was great at reading behaviors. That is my gift that God gave me. I can look at a behavior and I can literally interpret it to what's going on with them. And I knew enough skills to redirect and reframe and get a new behavior replaced. So pattern interrupt, give a new behavior, practice. Now it's there. They see the result. Let's celebrate.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much what I teach now, right? The first thing is to become aware of the behavior that they're having and be aware of what they want, what is the outcome they want. And then it's accountability. Who's taking accountability for what behavior and where it started and what we're going to do differently. And then it's action. I'm great at taking action. And then it's acknowledging. It's acknowledging that this worked, how we're going to keep it working, and let's keep it working, and celebrating yourself that you're doing it. So I was like, okay, so I've created this model where day 1, we're just observing. We have to get in there. We're moving in with families. And people say the nanny had an earpiece in her ear and psychologists were telling her what to do. So I literally just met somebody that was on the set with nanny because I was at an event and they're like, so you are like the nanny. And I said, no, I'm not going to a 5-star hotel eating lobster. Well, I don't eat lobster anyway, but steak and lobster, and then coming back the next day and you cluing me in what happened. I'm living in your house. I'm moving in. You're going to have a guest bedroom for me, whatever, but I'm moving in because I want to see what happens from the time they're up to the time they go to bed. I want to see the interaction with you and your partner. And then on day 2, I'm in charge. So what I have learned is that people learn by watching first before you tell them. They're visual people. They want to see what you're doing, how you're doing it. And then on day 3, they're back in charge. So I'm coaching them on, okay, remember, I asked her how she wanted to be woken up. You're not going to wake her up the same way. Tell me how you're going to wake her up. Okay, she told me she wants me to knock on her door and then open it, rub her back. Don't pull the blinds open. Rub her back, and she's going to get up, and she needs 5 minutes before we check on her. So remember, that's what you're going to do tomorrow. So they've already seen me do it. They've seen the questions I've asked. Now it's their turn to put it into practice. Now they're taking the action on it. And I'm coaching them and just reminding them. And when there's a behavior, I'm like, okay, we're not engaging. We're walking away. And when they can lower their tone, we'll engage again. And remember, their room's their safe space. So we're going to just redirect them back to their room, let them have whatever emotion, validate their emotions are exactly what they need to be having, and you'll communicate with them later. And then on day 4, it's the most magical day for me because I get to step back and watch the family be able to know that they are back in leadership role. They now rule the roost, no longer the kids. There's love and connection. The parents feel back in charge. They feel like they have their family back. We've talked about a family plan where they do like family meetings, how they're going to engage, how they're going to keep this going. And now we do the coaching afterwards, and we're making it sustainable. The beauty in this is it's intensive, but it's worth it. These are the 911 clients. This is not somebody that's like, oh, my kid has an attitude. We could do that over coaching. This is, there's so much disconnection. Dad's away at work. Mom's continuing to, again, have all the leadership role. Everything's on her plate. Then dad comes home, expects a meal to be ready, mom to look all pretty for him. And it's like, she's got her hair tied in a knot. She got sweatpants on. She's got the dog vomit on her shoe. Like, what? There's a lot of expectations instead of collaboration.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do. That's what you and I do now. We go into these homes and we change it. And I'm international. I have done these in Australia, in Mexico, in Canada. Like, we'll go wherever you want us to come. When you know that you want absolute change and you're ready to invest in that change, we're ready to come and support you in it. It's not a to do for you, it's a do with me. You know, we're not magic wands.
Oh, yeah.
It's not gonna change because we're there. It's gonna change because you're putting the work in. This means you're taking 4 days off because 'cause you're investing. It's not your money you're investing your time. We're gonna show you the difference of real presence versus just being there. We don't want you just to show up. We want you to show out.
Yeah. I love what you're saying because, moms don't always want the job that they are assigned. And I had this call the other day, actually, it was a few weeks ago, and this lady said, "Can you please tell my teen daughter that the pictures she's sending over Snap or whatever are inappropriate? And can you please tell her that she can't do that?" And I said, "Well, thank you for calling me. I love that you're asking for my input, and this is amazing. And you're her mom." In a very nice way, I said, "This is your job." And so I said, "Well, what happens if I do teach her that and then a year goes by and she does something else that is, kind of out of the boundaries of acceptable behavior? Well, what are you going to do then? You won't have the skills. Like, it's so important for you to learn these skills." And I said, "Or what happens if she gets into her 20s? And even then, like, you're just because a kid's an adult doesn't mean you're still not their mom. And like, you still might need to provide something for them, some type of care." She was very concerned about this girl having a lot of reckless behavior. She was kind of just developmentally a little bit delayed. And so, I just imagine that she's going to be dealing this for a little while. So me getting on a Zoom or me going into their house and say, "Hey, no more inappropriate pictures." And then, "Oh, I'm out of here. Good luck with that." Right? Like, the mom has to learn the skill. And that's what this really is. That's why this coaching is like
Yes.
literally genius. I'm like, oh my gosh, when you taught me this and I learned it and I heard about it, it's genius because the mom needs to learn the skills. And we weren't taught these things, right? Like as moms, like, it's not just like you just parent how you were parented generally, or a lot of times parents go in the opposite direction and they're like, "Well, my parents were really strict, so I'm going to be really loosey goosey," right? But either way, like, we don't necessarily have the skills, right? So teaching the moms these skills about how to provide a safe environment, how to communicate, how to connect with your child so that you feel heard and they feel heard. So that leads me to my next question, because you described kind of these outward behaviors like loud and tantrums and not waking up. But I remember you telling us about a client who was in the dark, like literally in the dark in her room. And she was like in her, I think you said she had like this egg, because my daughter has like one of those egg chairs that's real cute. It's like woven.
It was like this. She had this bed that it was like more than just a canopy bed because there was like walls. Like it was beautiful, like made in Japan or something, So it was like literally her cave.
Yeah. And so you talked about her, and, I want the moms to hear, like, this isn't just the type of thing that's for like screaming and slamming doors. This is for connecting on a deep level for a child who has disconnected from the family or shut themselves out from the family for whatever reason. So like, walk us through that type of scenario in case there are any moms that are in that situation.
So we have to realize, like, when a child is sitting in the dark, what is it giving them? We have to figure out what emotion is that giving them. And this mom was like, "Oh, I just want her to be happy." Well, when I asked her, like, if you could have any emotion besides what you're feeling now, what would it be? And she's like, "Peace." I said, "Oh, peace. Okay." That's different from happy, by the way. So the mom's wanting happy, she wants peace, and we're wondering why she's sitting in the dark. Guess what the dark gives her? Away from the loud, away from being told what to do, away from all the chaos outside that door with the light shining out, it gives her peace. So she was finding an environment that brought her what she was trying to have. And mom said, "Oh, she's depressed. Oh, you're sitting in the room dark, you're depressed." And here's what's great about that situation. My daughter loves her LED lights and she puts them on red or blue. So to me, it's very dark versus like a big yellow, bright yellow, right? And I've learned to not let that mean how she's feeling. I've asked her, you know, don't let the environment that they're sitting in determine what they're feeling because mom thought she was depressed. Mom thought she was sad. I mean, she used to cut. So mom's like, is she still doing that now? Here's why she was able to stop cutting because she had somebody like me that started to ask her questions instead of assume. I got to the cause of what was creating the cutting. And because kids don't cut because it feels good. I mean, there are some kids that have a high pain tolerance, whatever. And when you take away their stuff, all you say is, I don't trust you. Guess what? They're going to cut with their fingernails because that's what I did.
They'll find a way.
They'll find something. They'll take a paper. They'll do paper cuts. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, you can't take everything away from their room. And so it's establish trust with them. Establish a place where they can come to you and say, look, I feel like I'm getting ready to cut. Here's what's going on. My clients can tell me that. I'll get text messages and I can just intervene in that moment because they're giving me that opportunity to intervene versus being secretive about it and not letting anyone know. And they're not cutting because of that. They're cutting because there's something that's creating the pain. And that's the other thing that, I've taught you in my course is cutting is an effect.
Right.
Staying in a dark room is an effect. Yelling and temper tantrum is an effect. Talking back is an effect. So all these parents want us to cure the effect. And a lot of therapists do. A lot of coaches do. I don't believe in coping skills. The minute you say coping, you're telling your brain you don't have control over changing it. So I'm going to cope. I'm going to have a coping skill with the pain I'm going through. So instead of cutting, I'm going to have a coping skill to pull my hair harder or draw real fast or tear up paper. Well, once that gets boring, what else? What are they going to do next? So instead, you and I have learned we got to get to the cause. We got to get to what's creating you wanting to cut.
Yeah.
And let's resolve the cause.
Yeah.
And we won't have the effect. Instead of you staying in a dark room, we're going to get to the cause of what's creating you wanting that. And we're going to give you a better scenario. And so you don't want to stay in a dark room. Instead of feeling you have to yell at your mom, we're going to get to the cause of what's creating that. You need to be heard. So how would you know your mom's hearing you? Because you're not going to always get a yes to be heard. You're just not. So how would you know that you're still heard, even though you're disappointed? And it's okay to be disappointed, but you can't yell at me for parents. You don't get what you deserve. You don't deserve to be yelled at by your kid. You don't deserve to be told to shut up. You don't deserve to be cussed at by your kids. Your kids are treating you that way because you tolerate it.
Right.
When you say you don't, if you don't, your kids would never do that. My child has never told me to F off. I mean, they may have behind my back or to a friend or whatever. But I'm saying to me, my child has never said that. I've never asked my child to go do the dishes or get your laundry done or go clean your room, and they say, no.
Before we finish this conversation with Vinu, I wanted to highlight my in-home family transformation experience. You can get more information on my website at positivelyhealthycoaching.com/in-home. And if this is right for you, go ahead and click the Let's Talk button so we can talk. Now, back to the show.
I've never had my kid, when I say, I just went grocery shopping, it would really help me if you could go get the groceries out of the car. I've never had my kid tell me, no, I'm not going to do it. You do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being honest because these are some of the clients. This is what I hear when I'm in these houses.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it right now. No, you told me I didn't have to. Like, it's not a negotiable in my house. And why? Not because I'm not an army mom. This is not a military house.
Yeah.
This is a house that we have taught respect. When you say, hey, Dad, can you take me to the trampoline park today? If you want him to say, yes, I would love to, then what are you? It's reciprocated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not saying no and then just walking away. He's saying, yes, let me see what I can do. I can do that for you. And guess what? So when we say, hey, can you help out with the dishwasher? Guess what we get? Yes, let me do that for you. Because it's a reciprocated thing and it's what we tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we tolerate. Because no parent, especially moms, after you give birth to that child and you give them life, do you deserve to be disrespected? And that's what gets me. That is where, as a coach, I'm teaching mamas, don't tolerate the disrespect. We've gone through way too much to bring them into life.
Yeah.
To
I'm
be
so glad you're
disrespected.
saying this because, I didn't want anybody, not that they would have had the false impression that this is not gentle parenting. We care, yes, about their feelings. We do want to validate them. We do want to hear them. And there are also expectations. There are also boundaries. There is also these guidelines that is expected in the household. And so that's like finding that balance. And that's where it can be really challenging for a lot of families because they go really heavy on the feelings or they go really heavy on their boundaries and they have a hard time like blending these two things together and like finding the language and finding the way to like set up the family structure in advance. So
hire Laura or me. We'll come help you with that.
Exactly. I mean, that's what
That's what we do. That's the bridge, right? When we talk about what is the X factor to our coaching as a parent-child whisperer, as a licensed parent-child whisperer that you and I both are, what is our X factor to families? We are the bridge. We're the bridge that is going to form between you and your child to bring back unity and to teach you how to get your child to listen to you and teach you how to listen to your child so you don't need us anymore. These are lifelong skills we are going to install in your family. We are going to hold your hand until you got it down, and then we're going to back off. And then you got us. And then you get to use it for all the generations. And that's the beauty of what we do. This is a family coaching. It's not a kid coaching. It's not a parent coaching. It is a family unit. And that's what we're doing. We're bringing the family back to the core of what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you said that so beautifully. And just that generational effect, because I'm sorry to call you out, but you are a grandma.
I
am. And so that's what happens is, right? Like you're really teaching your kids to be parents as well. The way you're parenting, that's going to trickle down.
And I've seen it, by the way. Like I've seen it. And it breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And I see like that's the effect. But now I can't wait to see my twins and even my other older son when they have children, because my 27-year-old has had a lot more of this mom, right? And the twins have definitely had this mom. And so it's like, okay, there has to be dialogue in this house. It is not a one-way conversation. It is not, you're going to do what I said and then let your child talk back to you and then go spank them on the butt. Like, first of all, I never spanked, so I just want to say that to your audience. But
Yeah.
there are parents that still spank them, like, oh, they need a spanking because the parents tell them, you should be spanking your kids. Don't let them talk to you that way. Installing fear does not equal respect.
Yes.
Modeling and teaching respect will get respect out of your child. Again, boundaries make kids feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now we're in a dilemma where parents think I have to get them to like me in order for them to talk to me. And so they become a friend and not a parent. And then when it's time for boundaries, like, hey, I noticed you have 3 assignments not turned in. So you're not going to the football game tonight. What do you mean I'm not going to the football game tonight? You already told me I could, and I already have friends coming. Well, you needed to let them know that until you get the work turned in, you can't go because as a parent, you got to have something somewhere.
Yeah.
And you can't reward the behavior of not turning in your work and then go have fun at the football game. Now, all of a sudden, now there's a battle. Now I'm getting a call, a 911 text going, he's yelling at me. Everything you said is out the window. No, 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 no. Were you in friends mode or parent mode? Because they can't tell the difference. Your kids have plenty of opportunity to make friends. They're never going to get another mom like you. Be a mom, choose to be a mom. I'm telling you, it's worth it. My 27-year-old and I have a beautiful relationship because I was mom and now I could be more of a friend and understanding because we've gone through the boot camp. He's out of the house. He lives in his own house. I can be that confidant for him because there's no more, oh, this is a learning lesson from mom. This is a learning lesson from life, and mom's going to support me through it now.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. There's one last thing I want to throw in here, even though it's maybe implied, but I want to be really clear. Technology, right? As you were talking earlier, and I can't remember which example you were using, I just know how many moms cave because it's like technology time is up, but the kid's like, I still want more, right? Like, oh my gosh, with my own clients, I hear this a lot, especially the younger ones, like the high schoolers, not as much, but more like the middle schoolers. Like I hear this like battle and moms just give up. So give us like a little treat, like some ideas, right? How can you support moms when they're like in this battle? They're like, well, I want them to have fun. They're relaxing, they're decompressing, but, or I'm busy and I can't hang out with them. So that's what they do. And there's nothing else to do, right? Like give us some thoughts about that.
So, one of the things that I have learned, and I'm probably not the best on this, first thing comes is safety. Like, do you know what your kids are watching, who they're influenced by? Like, my kids are 13, almost 14. They do not have social media. They're allowed to watch YouTube, but they do not have a YouTube account. But I also know that there's no kids where we live at their age. The only socialization they get is being on the phone with their friends and playing video games. But I'm listening to the dialogue. Is there dialogue? When it gets too loud, I'm like, okay, you're training your brain to be loud. That means that you got to come off of it a long time. If we get an attitude out of that, we're like, okay, we'll go 2 or 3 days without it, like to kind of reset. So that's what we do. We do resets. Like, when we can tell by their behavior and whatnot that, okay, it's time that we take a reset, but here's when I take away phones, is if it's a distraction. So I'll give you a great example. Yesterday, we were getting to school, and my daughter's like, oh, I forgot one of my binders at home. And I said, oh, but you had 15 minutes on your phone today. So I need your phone. And she's like, well, for how long? And I'm like, until I can see that it's no longer a distraction for you. And so this morning she came to me, she goes, I have all my stuff. I've already had dad sign this, everything at my binder. I got my water bottle. I got my lunch. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, now you can have your phone back. So the phone is not a punishment. It's their brain cannot distinguish what's a distraction, what's not, because it's just what's there and it's what kids are doing. So I make the crime fit the time. Just like if it was the TV. If it was the TV that was on that was distracting her, she would not have TV this morning because I need to make sure that she's all ready for school.
Yeah.
And generally our kids only have the phone for like the 15-minute ride. And by the way, I bring my Chatter Matters, which is my card game that I have in the car with me. So when they when I'm driving and I'm taking them to school, instead of being on their screens, I'm like, pick a card and we just go over the questions, which, by the way, it's turning into an app. It should be an app by next month. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. We're getting close to the end, but there was one thing you said recently. You and I were talking, I think we were in our parent-child whisper conversation, and you said, my children are not allowed to walk with their phones. And it's funny because guess what? I caught myself walking with my phone in the grocery store parking lot. And I was like, whoa, I gotta rein it in with what Vinu said. Like, if you're gonna have something that's urgent on your phone and you're the mom, like, that's a great time to set an example, like be the role model. Oh, guys, I have something really urgent. This is related to my work. I just need to pause for a minute. I need to respond to this text, and then we can keep walking. But like walking through a parking lot, can you imagine, like, me being oblivious and not seeing a car, and right? Like, it's like,
or worse, being abducted, because that's happening. Unfortunately, we got to talk about that.
yeah,
And even on your phone, like, I've gotten so better not being on my phone in my car, because in 3 years they're going to be driving. And I want to set that for them. Like, there's too many distractions already. You have to be present. And so, like, if I am doing a text, I wait till I'm at a stop sign. I wait till I'm at a red light, especially if it's something that I have to get out, right away. Sometimes I pulled over to a parking lot because I had to get a text out. My kid's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I got to get this text out. I need to pull over for a second. So we have to set the standard. We have to set what we want from them. I tell parents, we are raising the next president in the White House. Could be in your house. So when we're talking about politics and what we don't like and what we do like, how are we raising our children?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the generation that's moving on up, right? Who do I want to be making the rules about me when I'm 80 years old in a home or something, like
right.
Like, are we raising? And that's what we have to pay attention to, how we're raising our kids. If it's okay for them to yell at you and to say things rude to you, I promise you're okaying it for them to do that in public.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this whole entire conversation is, I'm hoping, just coming across as like maybe a wake-up call for some, especially this last part of the conversation, just like, oh, wait, I do that. Oh, wait, I do that too. Oh, wait, I do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
because we all do. Like, we're owning it.
We all do, right? And we're human and we make mistakes. But just kind of like that first step is always like self-awareness, like, oh, okay, now I can work on that because I realize that's something I've been doing and I haven't really been paying attention to it until now. And so.
And if you know better, you do better. That's literally what, this conversation, your topic of today's call is, if you know better, you do better.
Right. So in fact, well, we could go on forever, I'm sure, but we'll leave it at that. And this has been beautiful. Vinu, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so glad that we got to have you on, hear all your genius and your ideas and your thoughts. And for sure, people, how can people find you?
So very easy. Veenu Inspires, Veenu Inspires is my whole social media. And if you go to my VenuInspires.com, you'll find more information about the services I offer. There's a free ebook that's Teach Your Kids That They're Enough, because we're working on self-worth. And if you want to be a parent-child whisperer like Laura and myself, come join my course. We're getting ready to start another one in March.
Amazing. I love it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
When you get a chance, please go to the show notes and click on the link ratethispodcast.com/tphmom to give my podcast a rating and review. And if this episode resonates with you, be sure to share it with your mom friends who are going through the same things. Be sure to tune in for next week's conversation. Until then, keep up the good work.